When President William Ruto took office in September 2022, he promised a bottom-up economic transformation for Kenya's hustlers, small business owners, farmers, and youth. The nation's expectations soared, with many hoping for lower living costs, more jobs, and a government that understood their struggles. But 2.5 years later, optimism has collided with tough economic realities. Inflation has dropped from 9.2% to 3.8%, but persistent problems remain. Growth is slow, debt is rising, and jobs are scarce, leaving many Kenyans questioning when relief will come. Elijah K. Samuel in this video explores the economic challenges shaping President Ruto's first years, and what they mean for the ordinary Kenyan hustler. Construction, traditionally a cornerstone of economic activity and a key job creator, has faced significant headwinds. It's a sector that not only provides shelter and infrastructure, but also employs a large segment of the population. The sector shrank by 0.7% in 2024, marking its worst performance in 2 decades. This contraction signals deeper underlying issues within the industry. Cement sales, a reliable indicator of construction activity, plunged a staggering 10%, reflecting a sharp downturn in building projects. This decline reflects deep trouble in the sector, with many projects grinding to a halt and new investments drying up. This slowdown is largely attributed to government cutbacks in infrastructure spending and persistently high interest rates, which have stalled numerous projects and discouraged new ventures. Manufacturing, another pillar of formal employment and a vital contributor to the nation's economy, has also faltered, with its growth failing to catch up with the expansion of the GDP. The sector's share of the overall GDP was 7.3% in 2024, the lowest in 10 years and down from a high of 7.7% in 2022. This decline is making Kenya more dependent on costly imports, further straining the economy and impacting local industries. For workers, this translates directly into fewer job opportunities and a significant decrease in job security, creating uncertainty and hardship for many families. While there are tentative hints of recovery emerging in early 2025 suggesting a potential turnaround, the damage from the significant economic slump of 2024 continues to linger, casting a shadow over the present economic landscape. When these critical sectors experience a slowdown, the ripple effects inevitably hit everyone across the economic spectrum, impacting businesses of all sizes, from local hardware store owners struggling with reduced sales, to factory workers facing layoffs and reduced working hours, ultimately making the dream of upward mobility and a better life feel increasingly distant and unattainable for many. Therefore, reviving these key industries is not just desirable but absolutely crucial for achieving sustainable and broad-based economic growth that benefits all segments of society. Kenya's youth are facing a formidable challenge in today's job market. The promise of a bright future through education and hard work is increasingly difficult to realize, as opportunities remain scarce and competition is fierce. Many young Kenyans find themselves in a prolonged state of waiting, their potential untapped and their aspirations deferred. The numbers paint a stark picture. In 2024, the formal sector managed to create only 75,500 new jobs. This figure, while representing some progress, is simply not enough to cater to the growing needs of the country's burgeoning youth population. That number falls dramatically short of the approximately 1 million new job seekers who enter the market each year, eager to contribute to the economy and build their lives. This vast discrepancy highlights a significant and growing employment gap that demands urgent attention. Faced with limited options in the formal sector, the majority of these young people are left with little choice but to seek opportunities in the informal sector. However, this sector is characterized by unstable work arrangements, a lack of job security, and very few, if any, benefits. It's a precarious existence for many, offering little in the way of long-term financial security or career advancement. One of the contributing factors to this challenging employment landscape is the slowdown in key sectors such as construction and manufacturing. This slowdown directly limits the potential for formal job creation, exacerbating the existing problem and leaving even more young people struggling to find meaningful employment. Economists emphasize that Kenya needs to achieve a minimum annual growth rate of 5.8%, simply to absorb the influx of new workers entering the job market each year. This is the threshold required to begin making a real impact on unemployment figures. However, the actual growth rate in 2024 fell short of this target, registering at just 4.7%. This shortfall further compounds the challenges faced by young job seekers. This persistent gap between the number of jobs available and the number of people seeking them fuels a growing sense of frustration and disillusionment among young people. It also places a significant strain on families who have invested heavily in their children's education, hoping to secure a better future for them. As a result, the growth of the middle class is stifled, and the prospect of upward mobility becomes increasingly elusive for many Kenyans. For the hustler nation, those who rely on their own ingenuity and resourcefulness to make a living, the scarcity of formal jobs represents a major obstacle to achieving financial stability and building a secure future. Therefore, addressing the issue of youth unemployment is not just an economic imperative, but an essential step towards securing a brighter and more prosperous future for Kenya as a whole. The government's push to boost tax revenue has struggled, with the Kenya Revenue Authority missing targets in 2023 to 24 by 5%. Slow revenue growth means tough choices: cutting spending or borrowing more. Kenya's public debt has ballooned from 8.6 to 11.4 trillion shillings since Ruto took office, forcing more revenue into debt repayment instead of development. Every shilling spent on interest is one less for hospitals, schools, or infrastructure. Tight budgets have led to cuts in public investment, contributing to the construction slowdown. Stagnant development spending slows progress on power, water, and digital projects vital for growth. For ordinary Kenyans, this means longer waits for improvements that could change lives. The economic strain is becoming increasingly visible, impacting what Kenyans can realistically afford. We're seeing a shift in priorities as households grapple with rising costs and limited resources. This is particularly evident in big-ticket items like cars, and even motorcycles, which are essential for business and personal mobility for so many. The ability to acquire these crucial tools is diminishing. High interest rates and the introduction of new taxes have collectively made vehicle loans and the ever-essential fuel significantly more expensive for the average Kenyan. This combination of factors is pushing vehicle ownership further and further out of reach for a growing number of people. The persistently high cost of living continues to be a major challenge, with the cost of food, fuel, and electricity collectively eating up a larger and larger portion of already strained household budgets. This is happening despite the reported lower inflation rates. As a result, families are increasingly forced to cut back on essential spending and delay important purchases. Many are even forced to take on extra work, juggling multiple jobs, just to make ends meet and get by. The decline in new vehicle sales also translates to less opportunity for boda riders, and consequently, less business for all the related industries that support the automotive sector. This widespread consumer caution inevitably slows down overall economic activity, creating a tough economic cycle that is proving difficult to break free from. The persistent squeeze on spending makes it increasingly harder for hustlers and small business owners to save any money, invest in their businesses, or achieve any meaningful growth. Ultimately, the everyday choices that people are making reflect the broader and ongoing economic struggle. After 2.5 years, Kenya stands at a crossroads. The promise of a bottom-up transformation faces real tests: slow job growth, high debt, and squeezed household budgets. To reignite hope, Kenya needs stable policies, smarter taxes, and targeted support for job-rich sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and housing. Reducing public debt is vital to free up resources for development. Investing in education and skills will empower the next generation. The journey ahead demands bold leadership and collective effort. With the right choices, Kenya can still deliver on the dream, building a more inclusive and prosperous future for all.